May 1978, my higher secondary results were out. I had just turned 18, and I was really excited because I knew exactly what I wanted to do in college: English literature. Because if there were two things which I loved more than my parents, they were reading and writing. I used to love writing. I used to write stories, poems, reviews, what have you. So I went to my father. Now my father. He's an engineer, self-made, brilliant, middle class, which also meant that there were just 3 worthwhile careers to pursue for him: engineering, medical, chartered accountancy. So when I said English literature, the silence in the room was brittle enough to break. He put his arm around my shoulder and gently said, "Son, you could write on the side, but as a career, it will condemn you to a life of mediocre means." And then he very seriously said, "Nobody will marry you." So I went to my room that night and I broke down completely. I must have cried till the birds splintered the dawn. You know, those days were the days when what your parents said meant everything because they knew what was best for you. I cried a million tears, and I think I must have thought of a million ways to kill my father. Just joking. But I became a chartered accountant. 39 years later, I am in finance, senior enough to have several people reporting into me, and the Gate Darban salutes me. But the thought, the refrain kept on in my mind. What about my writing? So, let me tell you about a corporate job. It is like a golden cage. And a cage, it does not allow you to come out, but it also does not allow the world to come in. And that was something which bothered me. One day, a friend of mine who used to work in the social sector said to me, "Sunil, examine the world you live in." And I did. And what I saw made my stomach churn. I saw young men work in 40 degrees temperature for 16, 17 hours per day in a brick kiln till their bodies became black and their hands were bloodied and bruised. I met young boys who recited nursery rhymes while their mothers took strangers into the next room. I met young girls who were sold by their fathers because the families were too poor to even have 1 square meal a day. I was shocked to the core, and I knew I had to do something. So I joined a philanthropic organization called Social Venture Partners, SVP. And very rapidly, I realized that philanthropy is not just about cutting checks. It is about rolling up your sleeves. It is about getting into the trenches. It is about getting your boots dirty. I was stunned, but it gave me a strange kind of a courage as I started working with children with special needs, with abandoned animals, with trafficked women. And I realized that what all these people require is a little support, an ear to hear the stories, compassion, a hand to hold when needed. So here I was, with my job, stepping out of my cage to do some social work. But remember, when I was becoming a chartered accountant, that thing about my writing, did my writing career end? Did my writing end? Well, yes and no. I was writing, but I was writing secretly, the way some teenagers hide cigarettes, the way some adults eat chocolates in the night, the way some people sing in the showers only, and thank God for that. That's the way I was writing. I was writing in secret diaries. I was writing at the back of envelopes. I was writing on the margins of novels. I remember a day when I wrote a poem at the back of my wrist because I was scared to show things to anybody. I thought, what would people think when they came to know about my deepest secrets, my wishes, my dreams, and horror of horrors, my secret desires? But then something happened which changed the course of my well-settled life. I went to a spiritual retreat one evening when everybody else was raising the spirits in a different way. I went for a walk with the teacher, a calm, beautiful lady. Now, good teachers are those who have answers, but great teachers are those who ask the right questions. She was a great teacher. She asked me, "Who are your favorite authors and poets?" I gave her a few names. And then she said, "Imagine if they had written everything which you love about them, which has changed you and touched your life. Now imagine if they had written all of that and hidden them in cupboards, put them into drawers and never published them. How do you know that what you are writing is not just the very thing which someone in the world outside is looking for?" And then she said two words which changed my life. Share it. I left that retreat on a high and I started sharing. I first shared on social media, the easiest, Facebook. Then I started sharing in small gatherings. Then I went to literature festivals. Then I came out with my first book of love and other abandonments. It became a bestseller. Poet Gulzar sent me a message, blessings. Then in February 2020, I came out with my podcast, Uncut Poetry. Now into its 6th year, it has reached people in over 70 countries and is today one of the longest running individual poetry podcasts in the world. And what I realized is that our talents are not given to us to hoard, to hide in secret diaries and written at the back of your wrists. Our talents are given here to serve the world. So here I was, with my corporate job, doing philanthropy, writing poetry, attending literature festivals, and people used to come and ask me, how do you manage it all? So here's the thing. Our lives are gloriously messy. So we want to do this, we want to do that, and in wanting to do this and that, we end up doing nothing. Because living takes over life. I wanted to do podcasts, read the great books published. I wanted to write poetry. I wanted to work in the social sector. I wanted to provide for my family so they would have something more than poetry to have for dinner. And I realized that an ordinary life is possibly the most extraordinary thing in this world. So what I became was an archaeologist of time. I excavated minutes out of that stubborn 24 hours which we all get. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to write when the whole world was sleeping. I snuck out during lunchtime from office so I could visit some old people's homes. I did my podcast, the writing, the editing, the recording deep in the nights on Fridays and Saturdays. I told my body, you don't have to sleep, until the body told me back, you have to. But passion drove me, stubborn joy drove me. And I realized that the most powerful stories are not the ones which we tell. The most powerful stories are the ones we dare to live. Because if you have to live a full life, you have to live many lives in one. And the world does not want another story of a person who plays it safe. The world wants you to press, control, alt, create to your lives. So what emerges are extraordinary stories of courage, resilience, failures, getting over failures, of creating music, art, literature, and all of it out of the lives lived by you, by all of you. Thank you.